Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about AnduinOS 2.0 and I have to say this is one of the most interesting Linux releases I've read about this year. At first glance, AnduinOS might look like just another Ubuntu based distribution, but once you start reading the release notes, it becomes clear that version 2.0 is much more than a typical update. The developers describe it as a complete rewrite of the operating system, changing not only what's included but also how the distribution is built and maintained. So in this video I'll explain everything, including what has changed, why it matters and whether AnduinOS 2.0 is worth checking out. So let's get started. The biggest news is that AnduinOS 2.0 has been rebuilt from the ground up. This isn't simply version 1.9 with a few new features. The developers redesigned the entire build system and changed how the operating system is assembled. Most users won't actually see these changes directly, but they are important because they affect reliability, future updates, and long-term maintenance. The goal is to make AnduinOS easier to improve while reducing the chance of unexpected problems during development. One of the biggest technical changes is the removal of the old bash script-based configuration system. In previous versions, many parts of the operating system were configured through shell scripts. That approach works, but as project grows larger, it also becomes harder to maintain. In AnduinOS 2.0, those scripts have been replaced with a much more structured system. The operating system is now built inside a clean and isolated build environment using dbootstrap and CRUD. For regular users, this mainly means a cleaner development process and hopefully a more stable operating system. The developers also introduced two new tools called AOS Proj and APKG. Those tools define exactly what the operating system should contain before it's built. Instead of relying on long lists of commands that modify the system step by step, the new system describes the final state of the operating system. This makes it much easier for developers to maintain the project, detect mistakes before release, and keep everything organized. It's a major change behind the scenes, even though most users will never interact with these tools directly. Another important improvement is that the AnduinOS core has been divided into 56 separate native Debian packages. This modular design makes the distribution easier to maintain. If one component needs an update or a fix, the developers can update only that specific package instead of touching unrelated parts of the operating system. This also makes future updates cleaner and easier to manage. One change that many users will appreciate is the removal of AnduinOS custom update tools. Previous versions included special commands for updating and repairing the system. Those have now been retired. From now on, updating AnduinOS is exactly the same as updating Ubuntu. Simply run sudo apt update followed by sudo apt upgrade. That's all you need. This keeps AnduinOS fully compatible with Ubuntu's package ecosystem while making updates simpler for everyone. Privacy is another area where AnduinOS 2.0 makes a strong statement. The developers have added automatic checks during the build process. If unwanted Ubuntu components such as snap services or canonical telemetry packages are detected while creating the installation image, the build immediately fails. In other words, those ISO images are never released. This helps ensure that every official AnduinOS 2.0 installation image remains clean and privacy-focused. Under the hood, AnduinOS now uses the upcoming Ubuntu 26.04 Resolute as its base. It also ships with Linux Kernel 7. That means users can expect improved hardware compatibility, newer drivers, better graphics support, and support for the latest processors and devices. If you're installing Linux on newer hardware, this is certainly good news. The developers also spent time tuning several Linux kernel settings for desktop use. These changes are designed to make the desktop feel smoother and more responsive. Memory management has been adjusted to reduce unnecessary swapping. Disk write behavior has been tuned to reduce interface slowdowns during heavy file operations. Networking now uses BBR congestion control along with TCP fast open to improve network performance. The file watching limits have also been increased, which benefits developers using applications like Visual Studio Code or other IDEs that monitor thousands of files. None of these changes require any user configuration. They're already built into the operating system. Before we continue, if you're enjoying this video and you like Linux news explained in a simple way, Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and ring the notification bell so you never miss future Linux content. And I'd also like to give a huge thank you to all of our amazing channel members. Your monthly support helps keep the channel going, and I truly appreciate every one of you. So thank you, and let's continue with the video. One of my favorite improvements in AnduinOS 2.0 is the new language system. Instead of creating separate installation images for different languages, the developers now include all 28 supported languages in a single ISO. When you boot the installer, you can choose your preferred language directly from the grab menu before entering the live desktop. This includes proper support for languages that use Chinese, Japanese, Korean, Arabic, and Thai characters. It's a very polished solution that makes installation easier for users around the world. The developers also added several new languages including Danish, Ukrainian, Indonesian, Finnish, Hindi, and Greek. Even with support for all those languages, the installation image is only about 2.5 gigs. The developers achieved this by replacing older applications with newer, lighter alternatives. For example, Loop replaces the old image viewer, Celluloid becomes the default video player, Resources replace GNOME System Monitor, Embrol replaces Rinbox, Giri is now the default email application. They also remove development tools like GCC, Git, GDB, and Build Essential from the default installation. These packages can still be installed at any time using apt, but they no longer occupy space for users who don't need them. Several improvements have also been made to the GNOME desktop itself. The old tray icon extension has been replaced with app indicator support, providing better compatibility with modern GNOME releases. The weather extension is disabled by default to improve privacy. Keyboard layouts now automatically match the language selected during installation. These are relatively small improvements individually, but together they create a smoother user experience. The default fonts have also been refreshed. AnduinOS now uses Cascadia code along with Noto Sans, Noto Serif, and Nerd font symbols. Emoji rendering has also been improved through Trimoji, with Noto color emoji serving as fallback. These changes help give the desktop a cleaner and more modern appearance. The project has also upgraded its package infrastructure. All repositories now use package.anduinoS.com with Cloudflare load balancing distributing traffic across servers located in North America, Europe, and Asia. For users, this simply means faster downloads and more reliable package updates regardless of where they live. Another major announcement is that AnduinOS is no longer maintained solely as a personal project. Development is now backed by Airsoft Limited. According to the developers, this marks the transition towards a larger international project while keeping everything open source under the GPL version 3 license. For users, this could help provide more consistent long-term development and infrastructure. Overall, AnduinOS 2.0 is one of the most ambitious Ubuntu-based releases we've seen recently. Instead of focusing mainly on visual changes, the developers spend their time improving the architecture behind the operating system. The new declarative build system, modular package structure, standard apt updates, stronger privacy protection, Ubuntu 26.04 base, Linux kernel 7, multilingual installer, performance tuning, and modernized default applications all show that this release is focused on long-term quality. Of course, the real test will be everyday use over the coming months. We'll have to see how stable it is, how quickly bugs are addressed, and how the project evolves. But based on everything announced in version 2.0, AnduinOS is definitely a distribution worth watching. Now, I'd like to hear your opinion. Have you tried AnduinOS before? Will you be giving version 2.0 a try? Or are you sticking with another Linux distribution? Let me know down in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.